Have you ever been walking down by the sea on a dark winter's night and got the feeling you're being watched? Well, some would have you believe that you are. Hello and welcome. My name is Abi, and today we are going to be exploring the traditional art of storytelling as part of Glasgow Science Centre's Green Futures theme. For many years in Scotland, people have shared stories and legends as a way to understand their place in nature, to teach important lessons, and to make an emotional connection with our environment. Today we will be delving into the myth of the dreaded Fuath, a creature popular in the folk tales of the people of South Uist. And to do so, I'm going to be telling a story. Sat cross-legged, huddled by the fireplace, Orla pulled at the wrapping paper. It was Christmas morning and she could hardly contain her excitement. All year long she had begged and pleaded for a fishing rod of her very own. "Please, Mum," she asked. "The other kids have such fun in the summer. They're out all day, laughing and joking, telling stories, and at the end of the day they bring home dinner for the whole family. Well, the lucky ones do anyway. Pretty please?" "You're just going to have to wait and see," her mother replied. "Be patient." Orla had been patient. She had waited months and months. But now, as she looked down at the long red box in her lap, she knew it had been worth the wait. In a flurry of excitement, she opened the lid and scooped up the shiny new fishing rod. She tucked it under her arm and declared, "That's it! I'm away to catch Christmas dinner." "Don't be silly, my dear. Christmas dinner is waiting in the kitchen. It'll be ready soon. Glad you like your present, but it will have to wait for another time. Besides," her granddad stirred in his chair, "it's spawning season, Orla. It's too early to fish just yet." Orla was confused. She'd never heard of this before. Spawning season? What's spawning season? Spawning season is when all the fish on the island lay their eggs. Right now, they're just wee tiny babies, and we need to wait for them to grow big and strong before we go out fishing again. Orla was not convinced. "But there's plenty of fish in the sea, Grandad. They won't miss just one." She put on her hat, took up her winter gloves, and started towards the door. "Okay, but don't come crying to me when you come face to face with the Fuath." Orla paused. Her granddad was sitting upright in his chair, and his eyes came to meet hers. "You mean to tell me you've never heard of the Fuath?" "Sit back down by the fire, and I'll tell you all about it." Her granddad took a deep breath as she settled back down by the fire. "You see, Orla, the fish of these islands have a friend who is sworn to protect them and keep them safe from harm. All through spawning season, the Fuath hides in the shadows, waiting for anyone who dares to disturb them. It is a terrible beast. Now, your granddad is a wise man," he smiled, glancing over at Orla's mother, "and I have never been foolish enough to be caught by the Fuath. But I have lived for many years, and I have known of many people who have not been so lucky. They say its webbed feet sink into the soft banks of the rivers as it slithers out of the water. Atop its head burns a fiery yellow mane of slimy wet hair that frames a gruesome noseless face. Draped across its monstrous figure, the Fuath wears a long dress of rotten green seaweed to hide from sight its fearsome, devilish tail." The room fell silent for a moment, besides the gentle crackling of the fire. Orla's granddad rose and in long strides walked towards the door. "Now, Orla, would you risk meeting the Fuath?" Poor Orla. Would you want to go fishing after a story like that? In that hair-raising account of the dreaded creature, we learn a lot about the true purpose of folk myth and legend. Whether the creature described was ever real or not, the Fuath stories reflect the local folk knowledge of conservation, environmentalism and biodiversity, and played a real part in protecting the wildlife of the area for future generations. Perhaps emotionally motivated stories like that, with relatable characters and practical life lessons, can once again play a part in Scotland's green future. I'm going to leave you with a challenge. The Fuath monster described by Orla's granddad has some pretty grisly features, which were inspired by accounts recorded by the folklore collector John Francis Campbell. No, the Fuath is not a pretty picture. It's big and scary, just ugly. But it has to be in order to protect the fish of the island. With that in mind, we would like you to design your very own monster. One that's there to protect our planet. It could be big and strong and able to hold up trees, or it could run about the house switching lights off when people leave the room. Whatever it is, we want you to get creative. Make a drawing, give it a name, and tag us on social media using @GSC1. Remember to include a description of your monster to let us know just what it can do. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to see you again very soon.